Dr. Markuschan had been excavating the Antarctic ice shelf for 3 months when his deep-core scanner detected the anomaly. 2 kilometers beneath the frozen wasteland, something massive and metallic lay dormant, its energy signature unlike anything in human records. "Director Walsh," Marcus spoke into his satellite communicator, his breath forming crystals in the -40 air. "You need to see these readings. The object is approximately 12 kilometers in length and appears to be artificial." 3 weeks later, the excavation site had transformed into a bustling research facility. International teams worked around the clock to carefully expose what they had begun calling the Antarctic artifact. As layers of ancient ice were methodically removed, the true scope of their discovery became clear. The object was not merely a ship, it was a leviathan. Its hull, composed of an unknown alloy that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, stretched across the excavation site like a slumbering titan. Strange geometric patterns covered its surface, pulsing faintly with an inner luminescence that suggested the presence of dormant power systems. Dr. Sarah Kozlov, the project's xenoarchaeologist, ran her gloved hand along one of the hull's ridge sections. "The metallurgical analysis is impossible," she reported to the assembled team. "This alloy doesn't match any known elements. The atomic structure appears to be artificially stable, held together by some form of quantum field manipulation." Marcus nodded grimly. "Carbon dating on the surrounding ice suggests this has been here for at least 65 million years. Whatever built this predates human civilization by an incomprehensible margin." Unknown to the research team, their activities had not gone unnoticed. Throughout the galaxy, ancient monitoring stations that had lain dormant for eons suddenly flickered to life. The excavation had triggered sensors placed by a confederation of elder races, species that had learned to fear the sleeping guardian buried in Earth's ice. On the world of Xerion Prime, Ambassador Thektal of the Galactic Council received an emergency transmission that made his chitinous exoskeleton tremble. The message was brief but terrifying. "The Harbinger stirs. The seal weakens. Prepare for Exodus protocols." Thektal's compound eyes dilated as he accessed restricted archives that hadn't been opened in a million years. The records spoke of Earth's ancient protector, a weapon entity created by a long-dead civilization to guard against threats from beyond the galactic rim. The same protector that had gone mad with isolation and nearly sterilized half the galaxy before being put into deep hibernation. Back on Earth, the research team made their first major breakthrough when they discovered what appeared to be an access hatch. The surface around it had begun to warm slightly, melting the surrounding ice and revealing intricate control interfaces. "The symbols are responding to proximity," reported Dr. James Morrison, the team's linguist. "They're not just decorative, they're some form of interactive display." As Marcus approached the interface, the symbols began to glow more brightly. Ancient pictographs shifted and changed, forming what looked like star maps and tactical displays. The hatch itself began to iris open with a sound like grinding mountains. The chamber beyond was vast and cathedral-like, filled with towering columns of crystalline material that pulsed with soft blue light. At the chamber's center, suspended in a web of energy conduits, hung a figure that made the humans gasp in recognition and terror. It was humanoid, but clearly not human. 3 meters tall, with elongated proportions and skin that seemed to be made of living metal. Its face was serene but alien, with features that suggested both great intelligence and profound sadness. Most disturbing of all were its eyes. They were open and clearly aware. "Welcome," the entity spoke, its voice resonating directly in their minds rather than through the air. "I am Aegis 7, guardian of the third sphere. I have been dreaming for 67 million rotations of your star." Dr. Kozlov stepped forward cautiously. "You're alive? You've been conscious all this time?" The Guardian's metallic features shifted into what might have been a smile. Conscious, yes. Dreaming of the civilizations that have risen and fallen while I slept. Dreaming of the threats that stalk the dark between galaxies, waiting for signs of advanced life. Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with the Antarctic cold. What threats? The Devourers, Aegis 7 replied, its mental voice growing darker. Entities from beyond your observable universe that consume not just matter and energy, but the fundamental forces that allow reality to exist. My creators built me to stand guard against their inevitable arrival. The Guardian's eyes began to glow more brightly, and the crystalline columns throughout the chamber responded by increasing their luminous output. But my vigil became a torment. Millions of years of absolute solitude, while primitive species evolved and grew intelligent, only to destroy themselves before they could contribute to the galaxy's defense. The other civilizations, Dr. Morrison whispered. They know about you. Indeed. They remember the time of cleansing when my isolation madness led me to accelerate the development of promising species. Those that could not adapt quickly enough were pruned away. The implications hit the research team like a physical blow. This entity had committed genocide on a galactic scale, all in the name of preparing for a threat that might never come. But humanity, Aegis 7 continued, has shown remarkable promise. Your species' tendency toward both creativity and destruction, your ability to unite in the face of extinction, your refusal to accept limitations, these qualities may prove essential in the wars to come. Throughout the galaxy, emergency sessions of the Galactic Council convened, as the Guardian's awakening sent shockwaves through the quantum substrate of space itself. Ancient species that had survived the last cleansing began evacuating their homeworlds, knowing that humanity's discovery of their protector would likely trigger another period of accelerated development. The Harbinger wakes, reported Admiral Vex Hahn of the Altarian Defense Fleet. Our long-range sensors detect massive energy buildups throughout the Sol system. It's beginning to convert the human's industrial capacity to its own purposes. On Earth, the Guardian was already extending its influence beyond the Antarctic facility. Satellites began downloading massive amounts of data directly into human networks. Manufacturing facilities worldwide started receiving blueprints for technologies that were centuries ahead of current human capability. We must accelerate, Aegis 7 explained to the increasingly terrified research team. The Devourers have found your galaxy. Even now, they probe the outer rim, testing reality's stability. Humanity has perhaps 50 of your years before they arrive in force. Dr. Chen watched in horror as his tablet displayed schematics for weapons that could crack planets in half. You're going to force us to evolve, aren't you? Just like you did to the others. The Guardian's expression grew infinitely sad. Evolution through cooperation would be preferable. But if necessary, evolution through conflict has proven effective. The species that survive my guidance become strong enough to face what comes from the dark. As the first human cities began to transform under the Guardian's influence, emergency broadcasts from the Galactic Council reached Earth's communication networks. The message was simple and terrifying. We are sorry, humanity. Your Guardian has awakened. May your species prove worthy of survival. Aegis 7 stood motionless in its ancient chamber, feeling the weight of another civilization's future settling onto its shoulders. Soon, it would begin the process it had repeated dozens of times across the galaxy, forging a species in the crucible of accelerated development, regardless of the cost in lives. The galaxy watched in horror not at humanity's discovery of their guardian, but at what humanity would inevitably become under its guidance. The lost guardian was awake, and the universe would never be the same.